And there we are. Welcome to another Social Saturday chat, folks. And this week's topic came out of last week's event. It's a follow on from the pivoting and whether you are telling people about your background and past experience. And this week's topic is your experience is not expired and why your past still pays and how age bias is still a challenge in a lot of businesses. So I know that Martha and both Felipe were like really eager to get stuck into this topic, and I'm just going to kind of sit back and see where the conversation goes, jump in where I need to. But it's Social Saturday Chat. Do us a favor, if you're not already, go to our company page, hit that follow button so you get the updates and notifications, and make sure that you hit the bell so that at least you get the most recent notifications, not just every other. And if you've got topics or things that are burning desires for you to kind of hear us talk about or bring to light, we've covered so many topics over the last 4 years, everything from neurodiversity to our personal differences to some hot topics that got some interesting debates. But the bottom line is this is about building community, about getting to know each other, regular networking and seeing where conversations may lead. And it's fascinating where some of these have. If you are somebody who's returning as somebody watching, and you watched us a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, well, that would have been impossible, but 4 years ago. If it was 5, tell us what we spoke about. That'll be interesting. But 4 years ago, and you're thinking, hey, there's a topic that we need to speak about again, or there is a relationship that you built 3 years or 4 years ago that led to things, and you want to come and share your story, please do that. We'd love to hear what's happened and how this show, if at all, has had an impact on you and your life and your LinkedIn and your business. I'm glad to be sharing the stage with these two wonderful people today. It feels like I've known them all my life. Let the conversation begin. I look forward to hearing from all of you. I'm going to hand over to Martha to introduce herself, and then to Felipe. And then I'll do a quick intro. But I'll follow the conversation and see where it leads. Drop in the comments where you're joining us from today. And welcome to another Social Saturday. Off we go. Martha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mac. Welcome, friends. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Saturday. I hope it's sunny or at least warm in your area. Or if it's not warm, that you have the fireplace going, or the heat and some cocoa or some chocolate or some coffee. For me, for friends that don't know me, I am the founder of Connect Impact Hub, and our mission is simple: ending homelessness through collaboration. Feel free to connect with me if you'd like, either here on LinkedIn or off of LinkedIn through the website that you see right here, right below my name. And I'd be happy to get connected with you. I'll pass it over to Felipe.
Well, thank you, Martha. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful Social Saturday Chat. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I'm an HR executive, LinkedIn top voice, international best-selling children's book author, and host of a number of LinkedIn shows, Workplace Wellness Hour, Careers Chaos and Coaching, and then the co-host of this wonderful show today. I'm also the founder of Cofino Consulting, where, as I look for that permanent home, where I'm going to find the right place with the right culture, I do contracts on the side and using my skills over the last 30 years of multi-industry and types of workers and experiences to really recruit the best talent, train the best talent so that they're trained so well they can leave you, but you treat them so well that they can stay because of the culture you built. So that's the kind of work I do, that I've used my expertise to make impacts on workplaces that I work at myself and others. So if that resonates with you, feel free to connect with me. Otherwise, I look forward to this topic because I think this is a topic that is very relevant to a lot of people. And like Jay said, if it's not relevant to you yet, give some time. It'll catch up eventually. Over to you, Mac.
Amazing. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mac Laubscher. I am a networking and LinkedIn strategist and effectively help you get your voice heard so that you can become the go-to expert here on LinkedIn and not be the best kept secret. So, if you want to find out more about that, message me. But most importantly, let's get this conversation started. I want to welcome a few people that have come and already commented. So you'll see them pop up on the screen. So welcome, Charles. Welcome, Jane. We have Tom from Down Under. Tom, thank you for joining us as always at some crazy hours. And several other people over there. Jay, the wonderful Jay, who joins us on a regular basis. Thank you for joining us, my friend. The man that is Merrill Cass, the greatest kept secret when it comes to coming out on screen, but definitely not the best kept secret when it comes to sharing events that are of value. Get on this guy's radar if you want to know about all the up and coming events that are worthwhile attending, because he only shares value. So Merrill, massive thank you for always being there. And Felipe has something to say.
Merrill, because Merrill is such a unique individual that if you're not connected with him, you want to be, because he's that kind of human being that not only is he someone who cares about people, he gets to know you. He actually builds meaningful relationships with people. But not only that, he looks out for you. And it's amazing, he'll read something and if he thinks of you, he'll send it to you. And Merrill, I did apply for that SHRM speaker event in New Jersey. So if I get that, I hope we can meet. I'm just saying that right there. But he sent that to me saying, hey, I know you speak. I know you like SHRM. It's thought of you about this. That's the kind of stuff that I think these relationships in this community have built. So I encourage you all to, the first step about this whole conversation is build that relationship, not just a connection. Sorry, Mac. I just had to say that about Merrill.
That 100% spot on. And Merrill, just by the way, Joel and I are in the US. If you're anywhere near New Jersey on Sunday, we are going out there to meet some other LinkedIn connections. Just do us a favor, drop us a message and let us pop in. And even if we just say hi, just so that I can see the myth that is, and I will, yes, get a picture with Merrill. That's one of my big, tick box things. So Merrill, let us know, my friend. We've got David Pushkin in the audience as well from the sunny UK. I'm glad to hear that. I'm heading back in a week. The man with a radio voice, 100% connect with that man. He is incredible. We have got Charles Phillips. Thank you for joining us, my friend. And Martha's looking younger and healthier. Look at that. And several other people. We've got Priscilla that's just joined us. We have got Blessing that's just joined us. And everybody else, just drop in the comments and we'll put you up on screen. If not, I'll drop the link so you can come and join us up here as well. But right now, I'm going to go over to Felipe. This subject, based on last week's conversation and then some of the comments that Martha made, between the two of you, let's get this conversation started and see where we go.
I guess it would help if I unmuted, huh?
I was just going to ask because I was thinking, is it my microphone?
No.
You were just testing me. Go on.
I'm glad that people brought it up last week because it is relevant. And the more research I did, people are struggling out there, and it is something that, they're saying that people are now averaging 6 months of unemployment before they find a job is the average time period right now, which is ridiculous. So last week we talked about people having too much experience and too long of a resume and ageism creeping in. And so I wanted to touch on a little bit about that, and then we hand it over to Martha to talk about it from her perspective, helping the unhoused. So we're going to hit it from two different ends here in a way, but also just in general about people in their own roles, regardless whether you have a lot of experience or you're unhoused, everything in between. All these things apply to you because whether you're in that situation today or not. You might be in it later on, or you might know somebody that is. So let's talk about having too much experience, because that came up last week. And having too much experience is definitely a concern for people, and it does creep into the ageism. I'll be very transparent and honest. My 23 years in hospitality is some of the best experience I have. I learned the best information compliance-wise. I learned how to recruit, train, everything. But that was over 20 years ago almost now. Do I bring that up still? And that's the thing. It's that struggle. Do I mention something that was 20? Is it still relevant today? Well, here's the thing. My hospitality experience may not be up to speed or relevant today, but the skills that I learned, I still use today. Guaranteed. I've used them in every job. So the first thing I want to mention is reframe to experience to the skills that you can transfer. Oh, this is what I learned from hospitality that I can bring to you. This is what I learned from banking that I can bring to you. It's not about how great you were in that role. It's about what can you do with what you learned for the next role. So transfer that mindset and communicate it. The other thing is bridge the relevance gap. Don't assume that they see it. Don't assume that they understand what your previous experience, the skills that you have. If you worked in manufacturing, I'm not going to know all the skills that you have in manufacturing because I've never worked in manufacturing. So you need to tell your story and bridge that gap, saying, when you find out, hey, well, we need help with A, B, and C, they tell you in the interview, say, well, you know what? I have 10 years experience doing A in hospitality. I did B in banking for 5 to 10 years. And C, I've done this all my career, so I can do this easily. And I do that because of this ABC skill in hospitality that would apply here. These 2 skills that you learn in banking would apply here, and really help them see the connection. Because if you assume that they will, you're hoping and wishing. You might as well throw a penny in a wishing well and hope you get the job. That's what you're almost doing. So make sure that you bridge that gap. Also, stay current, not comfortable. Don't talk about what who you were. Talk about who you are because of what you learned and what you're doing to be that future learner. That future learner, whatever you want to call it, ongoing learning, whatever you want to call it. If you're not open to continuously learning, why would I hire you? Because you're not going to be willing to learn our systems, our ways, our customers. So you have to communicate that you are not too comfortable and that you're too old to learn. Say things like, well, I'm really intrigued about how you're using AI in the company now, because, when I've been using it and learning about it, I see a lot of challenges, and just the fact that you are aware about something that's current and relevant and you speak to it, no matter how little you speak to it, even if it's just the fact that you're saying you're learning about it and you're curious about how you're applying it in the workplace, that tells them that you're current. So talk about it. It doesn't have to always be AI. It can be a lot of other things that are current. But right now, like hybrid work, whatever it is, but show them that you're on top of those topics. And then control the narrative before it controls you. Because if you let them read your experience and resume, they're going to come up with a narrative if you don't tell that story. So have that story to tell that shares everything I just talked about, that shares about where you came from, what the skills you learned, and how you can apply them to help them today, and why you feel like you're the best person for that job. When you give them that proactive narrative that you're qualified, or you eliminate those doubts they might have, like maybe you're overqualified, or maybe you're not familiar with this kind of technology, beat them to the bunch. Let them know, saying, well, you know what, I have a lot of experience, but I'm the kind of person that I'm not about titles. I'm about doing the work and doing what I enjoy and providing food on the table for my family. That's a way of saying I'm not looking to move up right now, or I'm not gonna be bored. I want a job where I enjoy doing my work. And if you don't tell them that, they're gonna think that they're gonna get bored. And address any compensation or flexibility things, saying, you know what, it's not about the compensation. I want to be fairly paid, but I'm looking really for a job where I enjoy where I work. That will help people, because when you get too much experience, the fear is that you're gonna move on when someone offers you a better job, or that you're gonna get bored with us. And the last thing is leverage relationships over applications. It's don't throw the penny in the wishing well. Don't hope and pray. Actually go out and build those relationships. I've been very transparent that I've been job searching as I'm doing contract work. When I reach out to somebody and I connect with a recruiter or a hiring manager, I follow their content. I invite them to these shows. I let them know that, hey, I'm still around because I want to keep myself in the front of their mind. I don't want to be annoying and messaging, have you heard anything yet? Did I get the job yet? No, not that kind of stuff. Build a relationship. Learn about them. Say, hey, that was a great post that you did on hybrid work. I love that. You applied that in the workplace. Congratulations on really doing that for your employees. That's the kind of relationship building you want to do. So I'm going to stop there because at the end, I'll say this. Too experienced? No. Too overlooked? Only if you stay invisible. With that, over to you, Martha. And Martha, I will.
Okay.
You look lovely today. You look younger. You look vibrant.
Oh, thank you. I have been in the sun a lot. Thank you. I received that. Thank you. I'm soaking it in. I've been in the sun a lot. I do have a sick fur baby today, so I will be probably in and out. He's not feeling well. I don't know what's going on, so I'm a little on edge right now. But I wanted to touch base really quick on what you just shared too, Felipe, and also a meeting that I attended with the National Alliance of Homelessness, and it was on aging. And some of the data that was shared was that older adults are the fastest growing group experiencing homelessness here in the U.S. And by 2030, it's projected to triple for folks that are 65 and over, due to having insufficient savings, being on fixed income, Social Security. And here in California, 1 in 4 Californians will be age 60 plus by 2030, increasing housing demand. So I'm already seeing it here on a local level, that I'm seeing seniors that are in house with disabilities. But I'm also seeing, and I don't know if maybe you're seeing this in your communities, but they're also seniors that are going back to work because they can't afford housing expenses or just daily life expenses. And so I love what you shared too, Felipe, about staying educated, right? Keeping skills up to date, attending different educational formats. I love attending different Zoom meetings, or there's another name for that, which I can't think right now. But just to stay up to date. And I'm also going back to school because I love learning. You know, that's just my personal thing, but everyone else is different. There's community colleges for seniors. There's anyone over the age of 55 and over can attend their local adult schools to get free courses. They have fee waivers that you can sign up for, so you don't have to pay. So that's a way to upscale your skills. And then there's also like different programs within the community that can support you in learning new skills. And I wanted to share something else too that I found. So the connection between employment and homelessness, job loss in life significantly increases risk of housing instability, eviction, homelessness. Many older adults experiencing homelessness had stable careers prior to a crisis. So just, if you have any questions, please throw them in the comments, because, you know, all of us are aging, you know, and so do you have something planned? Do you have a retirement? What I'm really interested in learning, what do you have at this time? Or I know someone that's very close to me that is 67 and still working, because she said she has to work. And even though she lives in low income housing, it's still very difficult for her to meet ends meet because it's so expensive here. So we've been looking at different scenarios to finding affordable housing I had to have this honest conversation. You're not enjoying life. You have been working for a very long time with no breaks, helping other people to, get support. And you have continued to work like a slave, really. She's been working nonstop. And I see her now, and it really saddens me because there's a lot of people in the same position as her that have worked their whole life and are not enjoying life. All right, I will pass it over to anyone that may want to jump in here and say anything.
No, Martha, I think what you shared was amazing. Your screen froze, but you froze at like the ideal shot. You look great. No, we heard everything, but you're lucky. You didn't freeze like I usually freeze. Like you had a beautiful look, like you were just very calm and at peace, and you were speaking. So well done. Because if it had been me and Mac, it would have been like a horrible freeze. I guarantee you. But one of the things, as you were talking, I think that's people are working longer. And someone mentioned that in the comments. Sorry for the barking dogs. But I heard that people are working well into their 60s and 70s now as a norm. Hell, I just finished telling you how part of my reason for creating Covino Consulting was to have a plan for retirement, to keep on working. Now, to do what I love doing and make some money so I can still do things along with retirement money. But the fact that I have that mindset, that's been programmed somewhere, okay, that I need to keep on working possibly. So people are living longer, people are working longer, and here in the U.S., Social Security is not covering it. So it is a real issue. So I love that you brought that up. Mac, I'll hand it over to you because I know we have some guests on the show. And Joel, it's great to see you, my friend.
Hey, so this is an interesting one, Martha, because from the age perspective, one of the things that I do a lot of networking both online and in person. But in the UK, I'm seeing people that are mid-80s still going to networking events, still working because they haven't got a choice. They have to still bring in income because, like Felipe said, the state funding or the government funding and pensions just aren't what they used to be. And some people are doing it because they love what they're doing, and that's great. But then there are people that you can see they wish they could just be sitting back and relaxing and playing with the grandkids or doing what they really want to do. But the majority of them don't have a choice. And things have become harder. If you look at things like home ownership, now most parents or grandparents don't see a way forward for their children to own homes in today's day and age because of the cost of living crisis and everything else that's gone on about it. And we need to carry on educating people and learning. And as we go on, we need to make sure that we are upskilling ourselves and staying current as well. Because we don't know what our own futures hold. So it's so important to make sure that we're staying current, staying relevant. And this is why it's so important to make sure that when it comes to how you position yourself and how you put yourself across, you're using those past skills. And this is one of the things that a lot of people forget, because I've always said one of our biggest lost currencies are our older generations that have got decades of experience, not only in business, but in life, that we don't tap into and think that they're irrelevant because they are retired, where actually they've got so many life insights that if you have a look at and get advice from that, we could have so many shortcuts, even in a digital world that may not be relevant to them. But life experience is invaluable. It's stuff that you can't, go to AI and just ask. So it's something that we definitely need to invest more in. But I don't want to take too much time because we have.
One thing you mentioned real quick, that the housing market, there's a trend happening now where the grandparents and parents, they're passing their home, instead of selling their homes and using that money for their own retirement, they're passing their homes down to their children because of how hard it is. I know 2 people right now that are purchasing it at like minimal dollars for the home, one's from a grandparent and one's from a mother. And it's interesting to see that trend. You hear about it, but when you start seeing it, you're like, oh, wow, it's really happening because it's not affordable. So that's another valuable point. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting as well, because I speak to a lot of people that, like my parents' generation, and they sitting there thinking, well, we're running out of funds because we're living longer and health costs and everything else have gone up. And they sitting there trying to think, how do we free up cash? But we still want to leave something. And they're feeling guilty because they're eating into the inheritance. And I'm sitting there thinking,
I'm going to have my mother call your parents, because my mother, she said, y'all ain't getting crap. I'm spending it all while I'm alive because I want to see you all enjoy it. She literally is not going to have any like inheritance money to leave to us, because she is spending it now on gifts or whatever, or when she wants to do something nice. So tell them to do that and not feel guilty.
Well, that's exactly my thinking. But I'm going to go to Charles, who's joined us up here on stage. He's been very patient. Charles, please introduce yourself. Tell us what your thoughts or questions or comments are on this topic. Yeah, we'll hand over to you, and then we'll move on to the next guest soon. Gregory, don't go away. We have seen you, my friend. Charles, how are you?
So I'm joining you from Colorado, and love everything Felipe has been sharing. And in Colorado, we are the only state to have this. Once you are 55 in Colorado, you get to go to state schools for free on an audit basis as a lifelong learner. So I am actually at the age of 56 taking first semester French. And it's an experience, but few things I wanted to touch on. So wanted to point that out. And most states seem to have that once you're 65. Colorado does it at 55, but then ageism certainly is a problem, but then less you're looking for someone to be capable of doing a specific job in a specific time frame. As we say all the time here on LinkedIn, if we're all qualified, then why are we saying, oh, he's too young, he's too old, all that, if we're all capable of doing a job? And then, but then there's also one thing wanted to bring up. Are there some jobs where after we hit a certain age, we shouldn't be doing the job? Where I've seen several posts about an 80-ish year old man delivering food and people raising money to retire him. So yeah, should you have to work past, say, 75, and then if you pass, say, 60, should you be a police officer? Less you've been working in the field, should you be allowed to join the field if you're 60 plus?
Well, that's a very interesting question there. I don't know if you've ever seen the show The Rookie, but it talks about a guy in his 40s who started his career as a police officer. But you bring up a good point. Are you qualified and skilled to still continue doing the job? And I don't know if Charles got cut off or if he was done. I thought he was done, but he's off screen now. So, but Charles, one of the things that I think is important to remember is that it's about rewriting the story, like I said, and beating people to the punches. And Jane, I loved your comment earlier. There was another comment Jane made earlier about people living above their means. And that is something that is so important for people to realize. I think, look, when you're 18, 19, 20, and you get your first paycheck and you buy something ridiculously expensive, like my son did, and like I did when I was that age, I get it. But when you're still doing it in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, no. Her example here about living beyond your means, having to have the newest iPhone. Look, what are we at now? iPhone 17? I got iPhone 12. I just got the update last night. It takes great pictures. Everything works wonderfully. I forget that I have a 12 and it's so obsolete. But it's the marketing and the media. They're bullying you into spending your money into something that you don't need right now. So being aware of what you need versus what you want is such an important lesson on that. So thank you, Jay, for that. But Charles' point about that experience, we got people, beat people to the punch, because as a recruiter, I look at a resume and I'm not going to lie, I make assumptions based on what I see. It's the way our brain works. We see something, we process it, we make an assumption based on what we see until we get more information, and then we get the interview. But what if I don't call you for the interview? Your only chance is the resume or that LinkedIn message. That's where if you know that your long-term experience is an issue or whatever your challenge is, explain why it's an asset. Explain why the skills you learn can help the company, or explain why what you've gone through will benefit the challenge that they're dealing with, and beat them to that punch before they reject you because of what they assumed. So I'll hand it over to Mac or Martha. I don't know who.
Well,
yeah, as we're talking, I was just thinking about us also, right? Working with our younger generations. That combination of interactions that happen. I remember in my last corporate position, we had a lot of younger generations. And I felt like I was now older generation, but they were still seeking advice and they really were eager to learn from me. And it was just so nice for me also to learn from them. So there's a lot of beauty in those interactions. But I love, there's a question here that I wanted to tend to. How often should someone update their skills? I worry I won't have enough to save for my future self. People my age want part-time or work for themselves now. You're absolutely right, Delonta. I don't know what your age is, but I think you might be in the same. That's why I continue to, me personally, I continue to upscale, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop getting education. And attending these Zoom meetings or these public meetings like the National Alliance of Homelessness, because I'm getting educated. And also there's a bunch of different ones. I think that was one of the best advice I got in the corporate world, friends. Someone told me, why don't you attend these meetings that are free resources where you can keep your skills up to date and be knowledgeable in those areas just by listening.
And Jolanta, I would say, to answer your first part of the question, update them frequently as you learn them, because I just updated mine recently, and it was, part of it was, yes, it's one of those things where you have the ability to learn whenever you want, and showing people by adding those skills on there is important. I just had a recruiter say to me, hey, I did a search for this and you say you did have the skill. You didn't come up at all. I'm like, what? I had to go in there and drop that skill throughout my resume or my LinkedIn profile. And remind you, an important thing. Wait, what was that Oregon Trail thing that she said? I'll go back to that one real quick. Oh, God, yes, floppy. Okay, oh, wow. She might be older than she may look younger than you, but she probably
I remember
older
those.
That's my age that you're remembering now, Jolanta, and I thought you were at least 10, 15 years younger than I was. So
Oregon Trail is basically grade 1 or grade 2 for me.
Yeah, it's that was like green and yellow screens kind of thing. Yeah. And floppy disk, if you don't know what it is, Google it, because you will be like, so I lost my train of thought completely now. So but at the end of the day,
took us back in time, didn't she?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she did. Yeah, that or she just old as shit. I don't know which one. All right. Well, listen, I think that at the end of the day, my message is beat people to the punch before they make that assumption. You have to, 8 tracks. That was just before my time. My sister had the 8 tracks. I didn't. Okay. I want to make sure that people know that I am not a boomer. I am not a boomer. Okay. My sister is. But yeah, so back focus. All right. So the message is this. Make sure in your profile, in your resume, in your conversations that you highlight why those skills are important and valuable at the top so that it eliminates that assumption right away. I had someone doing a search for me on a skill that I didn't have. Like I said, I put it throughout the thing, not just once, like 5 times throughout my profile, because the more you have that skill throughout your profile, the more a recruiter is going to search for it. I find it if you do a search. All right, over to you, Mac.
Well, with the skills side of things, one of the things that's interesting is, LinkedIn changed, as we all know, or many of us know that have been using LinkedIn for a while and maybe a bit more active. LinkedIn changed the whole skills thing about a year and a half ago, where your skills were just something anybody could endorse, and it wasn't related to any specific role. So you could just say, I had all these skills. Now you've actually got to show where you implemented and used those skills. So if you haven't done this in a while, back to Yolanta's question of how often you should update, is as and when you are learning new skills. If you go onto LinkedIn Learning as an example, it's got tons of things that you can go and learn. Add that to your profile, because it will show that you are current and that you are learning. For myself, I'm busy studying again now, and I don't think, like Martha, I'll ever stop, because I think the danger is stopping and saying, I assume I know everything, because in today's day and age, within as early as a month, if not days, if not hours, things change. So you've got to stay relevant. And yeah, look at if you just look at your phone and how regular they update, you should probably be updating your skills at the same kind of rate. Go onto your LinkedIn profile, go down to your skills section, go and look at your skills. You used to only be able to have 50 skills. Now you can have 100 skills, and allocate and link those skills to each one of the relevant roles where you've applied it. Because one of the things that LinkedIn then shows is, if you've just got a skill that shows, okay, I put it to my last job, I've only been there for 3 months, not a lot of experience. But if you've used that skill, as Felipe was talking about, his hospitality skills, he's been using that now for 2 decades. That's a lot of credibility and experience. So if he goes back to the last 20 years and talks about, people skills and leadership skills and all these other things that he would have learned back in hospitality, and ticks all the relevant jobs, all of a sudden LinkedIn, from a credibility perspective, if somebody's looking for that specific skill, if you've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you're going to show up higher in the search results than somebody else who's just had it and it only applies to one of their roles for the last 3 months. So have a think about that. Go and look at your skills. Make sure they're updated. And by the way, you can drag your skills into the relevant order that you need for your current roles. I see so many people are going to their skills and it's like Excel, Windows, maybe floppy disks, who knows. And it's just in the wrong order for the target audience they're serving today. So go and make sure that you drag all those expertise. You don't have to delete them unless they're totally irrelevant today. But the reality is, just move them down to the bottom and move the relevant ones to the top. And the first 3 will show up on your profile. And that's what people if they visit your profile, will tend to endorse. So make sure that you have those up there. And Felipe, I know you've got something to add on this one. So please do.
Felipe's first challenge. Here we go. You ready for this? I want to challenge all of us, and I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to make a bad assumption here, but I'm going to make it anyways. I'm going to assume that we all have some type of smartphone that requires updates. So building on that assumption, every time your phone updates, you should learn a new skill. Every time your phone provides an update, either add this new skill that you've learned in that time period, or say, oh, okay, it's time for me to learn a new skill, and go find a new skill to learn. I think that's a great reminder because your firm reminds you about the damn updates on a regular basis, at least once every 3 months, at least, if not, more. So, okay, maybe it's more frequently. I don't know. Okay, but however the updates, okay, less. Okay, well, regardless, whenever you get that alert, go ahead and do me a favor, challenge yourself to learn a new skill and master it and add it to your profile and to your resume. That's a good way to have something that just dings that says, oh, well, they just updated their skills. I should update mine.
I have a quick question for you both or anyone. What about the resume? Like, we can't put all these skills in a resume, right? Because the resume should only be 1 page. So how do we combine these to minimize the skills on a resume?
Don't mention the irrelevant skills on the resume. Only mention the relevant ones to that specific job, and usually do that in the top part of the resume, saying, I'm with these skills, I feel like I'm the right candidate for your job, and list them, and then go into your experience, because they don't really care about your nursing skills if you're applying for an IT job, so don't even bring it up. LinkedIn gives you a chance to showcase everything. That's where you need to customize each resume to the job you're applying. And it seems like a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Now, doesn't it look like maybe there's too much going on a LinkedIn profile? Because I've seen some really clean profiles, and some people don't list all their occupations because it's going to be a long running list. Like, I've left some employers out for that reason. So what would you recommend for someone that maybe has had temp jobs, contract jobs? Like, how should we list those on LinkedIn?
The simplest recommendation, because there's a lot of different scenarios that you could build off of that, would be keep jobs on there that eliminate any gaps. So if you had 2 overlapping jobs around the same time, they were both like partial contract, pick one and use that one that was most relevant. But I think as long as you don't have gaps, that's good. If you had like a 3-week contract job, do you need to put that on there? No, that's not necessarily a gap. If it's over a month, then I think it's more relevant. And really, it's up to you how far back you want to go. I have all my hotel experience on my LinkedIn, but do I have it on my resume? I minimize it. I say from this year to this year, I held these positions, period. That's all I list. On my LinkedIn
One
resume,
last question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Felipe. Sorry.
I have all of my experience at each job, so they can see I worked at different locations and different properties in different states. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. Yes. So we have a lot of folks that are self-employed or that are doing volunteer work. And I have a business I'm running voluntarily. Would I put that on my resume? Would you recommend me putting that on my resume?
Yeah, I think you put it on your resume because it shows that you're staying active during that gap. For me, it goes back to recruiters making assumptions. If you have a gap and you were volunteering or you did a contract job of your own business until you found that job, put it on there, because otherwise I'm going to say, so what have you been doing during this break? Eating bonbons and watching soap operas? I don't know. I always say it to my sister. But it's one of those things where you don't want someone thinking the worst of what you may be doing. So let them know that, well, I wasn't working, but I was volunteering with this association during this time, or I took a contract job and helped this company with some training. And it just shows them that you are not going to just be lazy and sit on your butt. You're a go-getter. And I think that's just more than anything else. And Priscilla, the resume of 1 to 2 pages, it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. And I'll tell you why. As long as it's not gibberish, it's valuable experience, it's worth having 2 pages or even more sometimes. And the reason why is the whole 1-2 page resume, it came up, and I'm going to date myself again. For those of you that remember fax machines, it became, and also mailing, when you mailed in your resumes before you faxed them, the second page would always get misplaced. And guess what? Your name is not on the second page. So we had no freaking idea whose second page went to who, and we would misplace them. So we were like, people need to put things on 1 page because it makes it easier for the recruiter. Same with the fax machines. The papers would come in, they get all mixed up, and we didn't know which orders they were in because they fell on the floor. And so we had to reorder them and hope that we got it right. So nowadays it's electronic. You just got to scroll. So they're not bothered by it. All right. But if you're very experienced and an executive level, that's where longer resumes are probably a little bit more open, 2 to 3 pages, even 4 pages. Because if you're showing all the certifications and the boards that you sit on and stuff like that, it's going to make it longer. But 1 to 2 pages, I still think is safe. I say that would be the safe bet. I wouldn't go over 2 pages because you don't want them to scroll too much.
And just something else that Martha was saying with regards to the volunteer experiences. On LinkedIn, there's a space for all your volunteer stuff under your experience section. Go and put that in, because organizations, when they are looking, if you are volunteering or you're doing things like that, it will show that you've got that drive and that want to help, and that natural leadership to step into those roles. And a lot of organizations want to be able to see those mixed roles.
You can put caretaking under volunteer as well, because caretaking is a valid excuse for taking that break. And if they don't think it's a valid excuse, you shouldn't work there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It should be a red flag immediately. Somebody's been waiting for a while. He's been very patient. He keeps lifting the eyebrow every now and then, looking at us and thinking, are these people going to unmute me? Are they going to let me speak? And now he's giggling himself silly, so I don't know if he's going to be able to control himself when he comes on screen. But Gregory, how are you, my friend? Unmute. What is your question? What is your comment? What's your contribution? And then we'll start wrapping up soon.
Yeah, I was just basically.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. Have a good day, everyone.
Oh, sorry, gotta go. We love you, Gregory. Go, my man.
I know. You're just sassing me right now. So yeah, I kind of deserve it because I said a rival NFL football team to Felipe. So we're in the words of NASCAR, we're trading paint here. So yeah. So I'm just basically just basically my own humble self, basically engaging in the comments while waiting to be unleashed from the bullpen per se. And Mac, you hit the nail on the head with the cost of living, because one of my hobbies is basically a peanut gallery type of a person watching the stock market. And if you know anything what's going on with the stock market, congratulations. If you don't, I think that this will be a hint to Coach Kerry Willis for a show to do on your podcast in regards to the hecticness of the current stock market, and give us some type of advice of that nature. You could probably invite Leslie Flowers to co-host the show with you. Hint, hint. But if you have been under a rock, we are basically in correction territory with the Dow Jones, as well as I think the NASDAQ here in Canada. It's like basically somewhat in correction territory with the TSX. I will leave the punditry in terms of the FT 100 to our
Gregory, you've lost me, my friend.
To our UK friends, Matt.
How is this on point with our topic for today, my friend? Put me in the picture.
The reason why it's on point is that I will say the stock market has some ties or some technicals, speaking in regards to pensions, in terms of retirement savings plans, all that type of stuff, TFSAs here in Canada, but it is all connected in regards to that nature. And when the stock market is not doing well, that's when those types of investments and savings kind of depreciate, and basically that forces a lot of people who are older age back into the corresponding workforce per se. So that's why I'm
Mic drop. There you go.
Yeah, in terms of workforce and stuff. So, which is basically which is a major catastrophe in itself per se. So yeah, because right now in Canada we have 3 applicants fighting for 1 position in Canada. So it's like there's like 1.51 unemployed Canadians, and we have like 495,000 job vacancies here in Canada. So I don't know what's what's going on in the United States and across upon the United Kingdom, but it's basically that type of an analogy, and AI has basically made it a whole lot worse per se. So yeah, and by the way, happy Neurodiversity Celebration Week to me, to Joel, and to everybody who supports neurodiversity and stuff. So
hold on, we have to celebrate a happy belated birthday to Mr. Mac Laubscher, who had a birthday Thursday, I believe. Happy birthday. It was a milestone birthday. I don't know if you want to share that. You're 5 years old. Oh, that's so cute. No, 50. So 50.
No, 50.
Okay. Which is, I think, very relevant for this topic, because I feel like when I hit 50, that's where I like, do I need to start worrying about ageism? Nah. Well, you know what? You should always worry about it for yourself and for others. But Gregory, you brought up a really important point that I wanted to highlight real quickly before I hand it back to Mac, is people are working longer. The stock market does affect your retirement. And that does, when the stock and what's happening here in the U.S., we don't even know what the hell is happening here in the U.S. So don't ask us. But it is a valid reason why people work longer. Now, a little financial tip that I've learned in my 30 years of dealing with retirement plans and 10 years in banking is if you don't have a retirement plan that is automatically moving your funds into lower risk funds as you age, you need to start doing it yourself. Because as you get older, when I was in my 40s, I was really risky. In my 50s, I'm less risky. In my 60s, I'm not going to be risky at all because I'm too close to retirement. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to think about, because the stock market will make you freak out about your 401k or your 403b or whatever your pension or retirement fund is. But people have IRAs, for example, individual retirement accounts. You've got to manage yourself, and you got to move them into those less riskier funds as you get older, or have a financial advisor that's doing it for you, because that's where I think a lot of people don't have that education, that knowledge that everyone should have. Find out, oh, my $2 million is now $200,000 for my retirement. What happened? And that's what you don't want to happen. So I'm glad you brought that up. I know we are at the end of the show, so I'm going to hand it over to Mac, because this has been a great topic and great conversation. I really appreciate everyone's enthusiasm and contribution. Oh, and we have one last visitor.
We do indeed. Christopher, we're going to come to you in a second, my friend. I think, and I think as co-hosts, we need to discuss a potential topic on this, following up on this with regards to, the retirement planning side of things, because it's a major challenge for so many. And I come from the experience of, my dad paying into this pension for decades, only to find out as he was retiring that the pension fund he was paying into went bankrupt and he lost everything. And it was like, he's just retired, and literally a few months later to find out that his pensions weren't ever going to pay out and the company had gone bankrupt. And we're talking about a massive national, like your National Rail company, like it's one of the biggest and was one of the most secure pensions that anybody had believed in and knew of over decades. It was one of the few that people always went, well, this is the one you can rely on. and that went crash. So, it's definitely something we need to discuss with regards to giving people advice on what are the different things they can do to secure. But because we're working on an international stage here, there are different rules and regulations in different parts of the world. So we need to think about how we put that together, and maybe get some experts that we can get on here that people can ask questions. But we do need to wrap up. So I'm going to go and just give the last two people who joined us on stage a minute or so just to introduce themselves, any final contributions or thoughts, and then we'll go to our co-hosts just to wrap up and let you know what's coming up for them. So Chris, my friend, how are you? Introduce yourself and tell us what your thoughts or contributions are and where you're joining us from.
I'm from Louisiana, having Chris Mostert, Saving Teen Lives. My website is Saving Teen Lives. Saving-teenlives.org is the website. I just stepped on. I'm late. Sorry, I'm late. I'll be late for my funeral one day. But, I say, when I do my resumes, and I was listening to what Felipe said, maybe I might be doing them wrong, because usually I just put basics, what I got, because there's so much long of what I got, and I put etc. on there, so if they need to know any more information, then contact me, call me, and I'll give you the full detail of what I do. And Margaret, we got some good news after the events. Please give me a call. We got some good news this morning. So thanks. I just wanted to share that.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for jumping on and taking the time to get in, because you never know where a conversation leads, even if you jump in last minute. Thank you so much for joining us. And Tom, I'm going to add you to stage. Here you go, my friend. Quickly, what are your final thoughts and comments?
Sorry, I'm a little late to the party. I'd be late for my own funeral too, Chris. Over the years, I found that ageism has played a big role in hiring procedures. And when they look at my resume, now, Felipe, you've seen my resume before. It shows that I've had a lot of business background, a lot of different industries. I find when I talk to recruiters, even as an entrepreneur, you have to go in between jobs sometimes to make up the difference that you're not making in your job or your business, for that matter. So I think it's very important that people look at not just the character and the experience, but I found a lot of people will tell me you're overqualified. And that's a polite way of saying you're either too old, or you're a flight risk, because your resume shows that you've been self-employed. What if the next opportunity pops up in 3 months' time? Are you going to stick around? So that's what I wanted to share was that is what I'm not going to go into any details here by any means about my business right now. It's slowed down. I had to go find some other work, but I'm getting the same issues. We think you're overqualified. What are you doing with your current business? Why is it on your resume if you're still running it? I said it's part-time. So what if it booms? Are you going to leave us? So, you can adjust your resume, I guess, to a point where you really have to decide if you're going to give up your entrepreneurship or you're going to actually go work for a company. So that's a mindset. And I think some recruiters read that into your resume and read that into the interview. What do you think, Felipe?
Felipe?
There's a big pause.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear Tom at all. I heard Mac, but I wasn't able to hear Tom.
Oh, Tom, what was your question again? Can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying, in between jobs and entrepreneurship, you have to find a job to keep earning. When people see that your current business is on your resume, they overlook it and they say, well, what if it goes booming? Are you going to leave us in 2 months' time, 3 months' time? What's going to happen? So they judge you based on your resume, I guess. But I also find a lot of the times people will suggest you're overqualified. And it's a polite way of saying, we don't think you'll fit in here because you might be either one, a flight risk, or two, you're too old for our team. What would you think of that, Felipe?
Martha, I still can't hear Tom, so I'm going to need you to repeat the question for me.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. So if someone, it's kind of like what I had shared earlier. It's similar to like if you put your self-employment on your resume and you're, of age, you're going to be considered like flight risk. Or they're going to say, what if your business is booming? Are you going to leave us? So the question is, what are your thoughts? What advice would you give someone in that position? Is that all right, Tom? I hope I summed it up right.
That is correct.
And I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't hear Tom, but so I'll tell you what I've done. Okay, I'm looking for a permanent role right now. I'm using Convenient Consulting on my LinkedIn page, but what I did was I put down as a contract because I'm doing contract work. I want people when they see it to know that there's an end to that. And that word contract, I think, sends that message. Whether if I put down full-time, whatever, they would think it's, oh, I might be a flight risk. But the word contract shows that, oh, he's doing a job right now temporarily, and there is an end to it. And I think that's the best way of doing it when you're self-employed. Because when you're self-employed, usually you are doing work for other people in many cases. And so it is a contract. You don't have to list all the individual works you're doing. You can just say you're doing contract work. So that is what I would recommend right now, because I think it does raise questions sometimes. I won't lie. And even for me as a recruiter, when I saw that, I'm like, are they just using us for insurance? Are they using us temporarily? Well, what's the reason? Some people just are go-getters and are working when they're job seeking, and that's okay. So listed as a contract would be my recommendation. I hope that helps.
Very good.
Tom, were you able to hear Felipe? I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
It was some good advice.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for coming up.
Awesome stuff, folks. Okay, well, listen, we're going to wrap it up. Felipe, we're going to start with you, my friend, and then we're going to go over to Martha, Joel, and then I'll wrap it up finally. Thank you so much for joining us today on this wonderful Social Saturday, everybody.
Well, thank you, Mac and Martha and Joel. And I hope that your trip in the U.S. continues to be good and positive. I know you've had some bumpy roads, Joe, and I'm sorry to hear that, but I heard you've had some great successes, and I'm excited to hear about the great successes you've had. As far as what I have coming up tomorrow on Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with Melissa Houston, we're going to be talking about managing up and moving forward, career growth that basically works. And it really is something that a lot of people don't know how to manage up. We talk about managing a team, but you got to manage your supervisor a lot of times and know how to approach them, when to approach them, how they like to be approached. And that really can impact how your career growth goes. So if that resonates with you, feel free to join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern or 8 a.m. Pacific, and we'll be there. Other than that, I will be here next Saturday with this amazing crew for another amazing topic on Social Saturday Chat. Oh, and in case you haven't done this yet, do me a favor. Can you just go to our LinkedIn profile page for Social Saturday Chat and hit follow if you haven't done that yet? And then one last favor, hit that little bell in the top right-hand corner. That way you get notified of all the events that we do and all the events that everybody else does, and you can support and attend and not miss out on them. And in case you want to check out the past episodes, go to your favorite podcast account and do a search for Social Saturday Chat, and you'll see some of the great interviews we've done with great guests. We've had some phenomenal topics we tackled, and the networking events have been second to none. So with that, I'll see you all next Saturday and hand it over to you, Mac.
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Martha and just bat it right back.
Look at Felipe.
To get off the show, Felipe's just like, I've got to get out of here.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Push.
Well, friends, thank you so much for staying over with us. For me, this week, I do have 2 events coming up. One on Wednesday, Homeless with the PhD with Josette. Please check us out. It's posted on my LinkedIn profile under events. And then also I have another event that I'm hosting, Mental Clarity. And that's on Friday, the 27th. And both are going to be daytime, Pacific Standard Time. Please join us. We have some really good speakers and some really good information that's going to be shared. And now I'm going to pass it over to Joel. I know I would love to hear your voice, Joel.
I've been dealing with a lot of shit this morning, so I've been in and out of my ass for a few this entire conversation, so I have missed everything.
Well, it's good to see you, Joel. I'm sorry that you're going through a lot of stuff, but I'm glad you're here. I mean, you came, you showed up, even though you're going through some difficult stuff. But we're here for you, brother. We're here.
But today we're hoping to get down to a concert, or a gig. Sorry, a gig. Someone, a local, John Sapienza Mag is performing at some point tonight. So that's my immediate share of what's happening in the immediate future. Mag, I think knows a bit more of what's happening later on in the week, but I only know what's happening tonight.
Goodness. Well, folks, as some of you know and some of you don't, we are still in the US. So if you are anywhere around Long Island or within a couple of hours drive, I know Joel's had me drive 3, 4, 5 hours in different directions. Just saying, hey, we're just popping in for a meeting for half an hour. It's like, sure, no problems, jump in the car, and then you realize you're driving 4 hours before you even get there. But if you are within an hour or two of Long Island, please let us know. We'd be happy to come and just meet you face to face. And it's always good to meet people that we know virtually and finally get to see you face to face and see where those conversations go. And also, just to meet people in real life is always a good thing. Joel's got loads of other things coming up. We've got another event on Saturday next week, which we'll be sharing with you. So please connect with us. There's a gentleman called Jason Forehand who hasn't showed up today because he's a busy man, but Jason has this big event in New York next Saturday, which is all about helping people, and we are going to be attending his events and showing up with Rockstar X. And then during this week, we have loads of other little things on the go as well for our last week here in New York. And we're also looking at connecting and meeting with other people in and around Long Island. So if you've got introductions or people you know that need to meet up with us, whether it be for Rockstar X, that's a combination between my LinkedIn and Rockstar X. Lockstar? I don't know. Doesn't work. Does work, maybe. But please connect, DM us, let us know, and let's see where a conversation may lead. But again, everybody, thank you for a good conversation. I think it's left us potentially with more questions than answers as well. But life is full of, questions and finding out the answers, and some of the things we'll never know, but we're always learning. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Saturday, which is the networking event. And we'll be coming from a live location somewhere here in New York. So I look forward to connecting with all of you. Make sure that if you didn't join our last networking event, get up on stage, introduce yourself. It's an opportunity to put yourself in front of people, tell them who you are, who you're looking at connecting with at that point in time, share a fun fact of what's going on, and you never know where that connection may lead. So join us next week. And for my wonderful co-host team, thank you as always for having my back, being here, supporting this journey. And make sure that you follow these wonderful people, whether it's that way or this way or that way. It's great to see you all, and have a fantastic week.
Adios.
Cheers, everybody.
Happy birthday to
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.